This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All Stars 8, Episode 11, titled The Fame Games Variety Extravaganza. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one very talented co-host. I don't know. I couldn't think of a joke. From the podcast pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
Nice fat titties.
to Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor.
Joseph, how are you tonight?
You know exactly how I'm doing.
I do know how you are.
That might be one of the longest Just Between Us Girls episodes we've ever done.
Possibly, yeah. Pretty close to it if it's not.
Yeah. We talked about things that were so after dark that I can't even mention some of the things that we talked about. We talked about a lot. You know, we covered a lot of stories, a lot of ground, a lot of details. So if you want to get that, you can do that over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Oh, by the way, weird little note here for anyone who ever, just for everybody actually, whether you were a former Patreon supporter or whatever, people have told me that they have because Patreon's kind of confusing. And so I'll get these emails that are like, Joe, I've been a member for 2 or 3 months and I've never gotten any content. And I'm really upset. And I go, oh, you were doing this wrong, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, now I have all this content. Great. And I was like, how many people signed up? And we're like, I'm not getting any content. Guys, we come out with a new episode of something almost every day of the week. If you are a Patreon supporter or if you haven't been in the past and you weren't getting content, there was something going on. So if that is the case, hit me up at, you can hit me up at Joe Betance at afterthought.media. But I just wanted to make that public service because it's been happening more and more.
Okay.
So I just wanted to... and also an exciting thing coming. I forgot about this. I think I just got access to this on Friday or yesterday or something. Where now I can actually sell digital products on Patreon. Meaning I can actually, for instance, take all of the old Just Between Us girls from, let's say, season 14. Package them in one thing. And you could just, let's say you're like, I don't want to subscribe to Patreon. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have a subscription, but I do want to hear old Just Between Us girls, or I want to hear the Sydney gays. You're always talking about the Sydney gays. I want to hear the tea. I want to hear these particular shows. You can just pay a one-time fee and just download the entire season.
Okay.
So that'll be coming very, very, very soon. Very soon. That'll be happening. Anyway, let's jump right into this, Taylor, because we have a lot to talk about.
Okay.
No, we don't. This week, all the former contestants walked back into the workroom to compete in the Fame Games Variety Extravaganza. James Mansfield and LaLa Ri came out on the top. That should be came out on top. And lip-synced for a chance to get an extra leg up in the competition. In the end, both girls won the lip-sync and both received the special bonus as they head into the Fame Games. Taylor the Latte Boy, what did you think of this lip-sync, and did the right queens win the challenge? Because they both won the lip-sync, so did the right queens win the challenge? Give me your thoughts.
I think that LaLa Ri definitely won, deserved to be in the top 2. I was very surprised by James being one of the top 2. I would have thought, either thought Jessica would be one, or honestly, this may be a controversial, I thought Mrs. Kasha Davis's was pretty cool too. I was impressed with the level of what she did, because she's always been somebody that just sort of kind of floats, as far as she's always kind of in the middle for me. But I thought the fact that she did the dance and there was passion in what she was doing and everything, I thought that was probably one of the two. So I thought it was going to be one of the two of them. So when they said James, I was a little like, what? But so I guess that answers your question.
But what about the lip sync? What do you think of that?
I get why they did both girls getting it. I get that it could have been sort of a close. I get why she would have picked it as a tie, but I think Lala Ree was the stronger of the two lip syncers.
Oh, interesting. I thought James was.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say on that.
Why do you think that?
I thought that I appreciate a fresh take on things. Well, first of all, I want to address, I'm very curious to hear what the Gaga gays think of all this. Maybe I'll call Evan Ayers after this or whatnot, because the Gaga gays have been screaming for years on Reddit or anywhere that people will listen that they want Rain on Me to be on Drag Race. I have been hearing this for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they finally did it, and I don't know if they liked it or if I liked it, but I'm not a big Gaga stan. So okay. One of the things like, oh, I wish it would have been, they want a serious, like Tatiana and Alyssa type thing doing Rain on Me, not Jessica and Lala Ree. So right. I don't know. I'm very curious to hear what their take is. But I did think that James had a very interesting take on the lip sync that was not your standard take on that lip sync. Which Lala Ree was doing an amazing version of your what would be a traditional take on it.
Right.
But James had an interesting take. I actually thought they were very, very, very close and could see a Lala Ree decision as well.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you that I probably would have. Look, to tip my hand a little bit. If I'm being honest, I didn't like most of these talent things, and so I guess Lala Ree, I'll be like, I guess you could have changed out Jessica or a bunch of people for her, right? Mm-hmm. But I do think, believe it or not, I think Alexis should have been there because, and I would have been fine with Kasha as well. Anyone that did something a little different, I was already so excited for. Even though Darian did something different, I was like, right? But I thought, Alexis went and she sang live. So I was like, and she did a good job. And so I was like, she should have been in the top two.
I give Alexis credit for singing live. I guess it was not what I was when she talks about being, Broadway and all of that sort of stuff. She sounded nervous. She sounded like she didn't necessarily hit the notes, all the notes that find the note, girl, find the note, a couple of times. And it almost felt like, though on a different, when Lucy LaDuca last season sang Get Loose for her talent show, and they talked about how there were times that she just was not getting the right notes, or she was kind of, she was out of breath. It sort of felt like that a little bit to me.
Yeah, I just thought of something right now. James, we'll get to this in the talent show. James and Lala, did they both do that big confetti bomb at the end?
No, it wasn't James that did the confetti bomb. I thought it was. Didn't Jessica do the confetti bomb?
I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. All right. After Jessica's elimination, Jimbo and Candy walk into the workroom and congratulate each other on their success and marvel at how far they have come. The next day, Jimbo and Candy walk into the workroom and congratulate each other on their success and marvel at how far they have come. Before RuPaul enters the workroom to announce what's in store for this week. At this point, all of the former contestants enter the workroom one by one and line up next to Jimbo and Candy. With all of this season's contestants standing before her, RuPaul announces that the library is open, officially. The girls then take turns reading each other. In the end, Mrs. Kasha Davis is named the winner of the challenge. Shade of the Latte Boy, let's stop right here. Let's take a moment right here and stop. Okay. And let's talk about what your thoughts were on the after the elimination and the this and the that and the reading challenge. Because you were the one famously who had this huge conspiracy theory about the lack of reading challenge.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised that that's what they did for everybody when she said, the library is open. I did get a little excited about that. Before, though, when it was Candy and Jimbo, I don't think I realized, or maybe I did, which is part of the reason I don't like her, how much Candy screams. Like, Candy yells all the time, and it's really annoying.
I was going to do an impression. I realized I was doing a Mr. T impression. I was like, what are you talking about, fool?
Yeah. It was grating. And you're right. It was basically where they just kept talking about, I can't believe it's just the two of us. I wanted the two of us to be the last two standing, and this is what we are. And it's the last two. Can you believe it's the last two? It's so quiet in here because we're the last two. I thought the reading challenge, there were a couple of good ones in there. It felt a little more pointed. Oddly enough, I didn't hear what Kasha's jokes were. Like, she was saying them she was saying them really fast. Like, I had to go back and rewind them because I was eating lunch. So I thought, oh, well, maybe it's because I'm like eating something that's crispy. And then I went back and I didn't get them or didn't really hear them. Was she the one that talked about Alexis's bald spot?
I think she's one. There were people who I would have pulled it if you didn't. You know what? I did pull it. Name a queen. I'll tell you what she. I'll play that clip.
No, Kasha is the only one that I didn't really hear.
Tell me, but which on Kasha, name the queen she was reading that you want to hear about.
Well, she only told 2 jokes, so can you just play both of them?
Okay, here we go. Mrs. Kasha Davis. Oh, wait, am I trying to read myself? I'm an old cunt. Sorry. Candy Muse. Your head is so bald, it reminds me of Jesus's pussy. And then that's weird. I didn't know that joke doesn't even make sense. How did she win with that joke?
Yeah.
Katya, I can see Russia from your house. Katya's not even on this season. What is she? She won? This is who won, Taylor?
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I remember thinking a couple of the other girls. Of course, I can't remember any of the jokes. Whereas I feel like whenever we do this every season, I can at least remember 1 or 2 that I can talk about. But it also seemed that nobody, of course, they probably did. They didn't show them, but it's weird that nobody joked about Red Monica until Monica went. And then they kind of let Candy and Jimbo make jokes at her expense, or read her rather. But I just thought that was weird.
Golda Meir, great Prime Minister of Israel. More like Golda my ass. Okay, I don't She's now just reading people who aren't there or like are historical figures. It was a very odd reading challenge. I think, but RuPaul loves absurd things. I don't know if maybe that's what she loved about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about, I want to go back to after the elimination. And I want to talk about something you said. You were talking about yes, I made a joke about that and you reflected that. But like, if you think about it, I almost don't blame the girls. Like, I know I've been like really harsh on Candy and whatnot, but like, they've never had a top 2 before, and now they're in this room, and it's like they have to create content, and it's just like, well, you guys have said, we've said everything we have to fucking say at this point.
Yeah.
There's nothing left. They're trying to get blood from a stone, and It's just like, all they can say is like, yeah, just top 2,
That's us.
That's us, the top 2. So like, I don't blame them. It's just, they're trying to have them provide content. It's just, there's really, and by the way, this is true not just with the top 2. Any season when you get to this point, it's always really boring at this point.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, the next day, RuPaul brings in the girls, like, oh, look at these people, right? Did you notice that, like, she would say a name and she'd be like, like Monica Beverly Hills, and the girls would go crazy. And then she did James Mansfield, and it was like dead silence.
No, I didn't notice that.
Oh, girl, it's very awkward. It's very awkward. It's like they'd be like, Joseph Stalin, and like, yay, and then they're like, James Mansfield.
Cricket.
Yeah, it really is. There's nothing. So, okay, now talking about that reading challenge. This wasn't a horrible reading. They did pretty good. You know what could have helped? So I have this for later, but I realized they just moved what has been traditionally the first episode to this episode, to the second and last episode. Mm-hmm. So, typically the reading challenges when they first get there, and they're not as comfortable with each other. So I think that the reason this reading challenge wasn't so bad was A, they know who the queens are, so they have all this time to write it, depending on how long they've not been there. Right. And B, they're more comfortable with each other. They know each other. There's a more feeling of camaraderie, so they can do the reading challenge better. And maybe it's not a bad idea to do it this late in the game. Mrs. Kasha Davis was good, but I thought Jimbo was better, but you can't have Jimbo win everything, I think. So I think they had to give it to Mrs. Kasha Davis. The Fame Games. Next, RuPaul announces that the girls will all participate in the Fame Games Variety Extravaganza. As the remaining All-Stars, Jimbo and Candy will host the talent show. In the workroom, the girls kiki as they get ready for the variety show. Next, RuPaul entered the workroom for some table visits. With a few exceptions, the girls share they will be lip-syncing to original numbers. The exceptions are Darian, who will perform stand-up comedy, and Alexis Michelle, who will sing live. And finally, it's Elimination Day, and the girls get ready for the variety show. Monica shares that she wants to prove herself after going home first. Alexis apologizes to La Ree. And finally, the girls all share one last kiki before going out for that variety show. Taylor the Latte Boy, any thoughts for everything going up through the Elimination Day?
When she announced the Fame Games thing, I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised that it was you get kind of additional points. You get additional votes. They multiply the votes sort of thing. Because I thought, is she going to let the winner come back for the finale? Like, that thought went through my head of being a possible win for this. Uh-huh. And what that would have done. Because they even talk about the fact when it's just Candy and Jimbo the night before, where they're like, we've never had just two. There's got to be a twist coming. So I thought it was whoever came back and did a great job, they were going to get to move back into the final. They were going to be one of the 3 final girls. I thought that the scene with the conversation between Lala and Alexis was good. I hope that helped quell some of the Alexis, I don't even say hate, but dislike. Maybe that there was a conversation about that at the time. It's not like where it's a year later, and she's trying to backpedal from the decision. So that was interesting to me. I honestly, when they were talking about what they were all going to do, I was not paying attention. I kind of tuned out when they were walking, when Rue did the table reads. I was just sort of like, I'll just see whatever they're doing at that point.
Because they were just saying the same thing.
That she's not going to. This is the where we're all walking with children in nature episode of where they're not going to they're not going to trash Monica Beverly Hills after she comes back for the last episode of just the your act was shit kind of thing. So it wasn't like where she was going to do the whole, like, you're going to do that, or, well, you just make sure you make it funny, or whatever it is that she normally says during these table reads. And then my last thought on that is that the kikiing was one of my favorite parts of the episode, in that it was just, everybody just seemed so happy to be there. And that felt like real reading to me compared to what they do where they have to do the reading challenge, where they were all just kind of busting chops, and it was fun to watch that.
Tim Daly, you haven't worked in so long, it's more like Tim Decady. Okay, I don't know why I have all these clips of Mrs. Kasha Davis reading people who, A, are not in the room, and not relevant. Like, has anyone thought of Tim Daly?
Not in 20 years.
Yeah.
At least.
Did you have the hots for this Tim Daly?
Who is Tim Daly?
From Wings.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I was going to say the guy from Wings. Nobody's talking. When
did you have the hots?
Did I have the hots for him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Of the two of them, I was never a big Steven Weber fan. So I guess I liked Tim Daly more. Of the two brothers, he was the one that was the cuter, because he was like the clean cut one, whereas Steven Weber had like the flopsy mopsy hair and was kind of the slacker.
I agree with you. I thought I like what they did with it. I actually like this wheel twist, even though James winning. Like, I think she already had a leg up on the competition. So I want very curious to see how this plays out, because she had such a passionate and large social media following, and now she's doubling that. That could work very well in her favor. Elimination Day. Like you, there was really nothing to the table visits. You know what's really odd? I will say this about this episode, and maybe it was because there were more girls there or whatever. just like in the past 2 or 3 weeks, nothing happened in this part, right? However, it was much more joyful and fun.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
It didn't feel like the slog that I've been feeling the past few weeks. Maybe because it's largely decided. So now, and they all know, like, oh, it's a Jimbo. So like, there's almost like this, like like breath, like this, like release that's there. There's no tension, and everyone's just having fun. And going along with something that you said, I think this elimination day was really important. One, we got to see a side of Monica, going with what we just said, where if she would, I'm not sure she would have lasted very long, but if she would have had this confidence that we saw on Elimination Day, I think maybe, I don't know if she would have gone farther, but I don't know. I wouldn't have had the pathetic view of her that I had, you know? She seemed very confident, much more comfortable in her own skin. It was very pleasant to see her. I was like, oh, there's the Beverly Hills I know. And then, I'm surprised you didn't bring this up, but like, I actually want to give flowers to Alexis Michelle. I thought it was very big of her to apologize.
Yeah. No, I said that.
And I don't listen to you. And I think Lala was very gracious. I was too busy trying to find the Tim Daly quote from Mrs. Kasha Davis. And I thought Lala was very gracious. And I thought it was a very nice moment to watch. I don't know if she necessarily really covered, like, why did she do that? But okay, she apologized. And I thought that was a really big moment. Did you have anything to say before, up until the Fame Games?
Alexis Michelle with a 5 o'clock shadow is hot. There, I said it.
But you've always liked this Alexis Michelle.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't necessarily been as big of a fan of hers this season. And I just sort of was like, okay, well, she's all right looking. But then the last episode that she was in, where she came in the denim jacket, the 5 o'clock shadow, I was very like, oh, well, hello, Miss Michelle. And then she came in again where she had facial hair, and that was a little like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's a good look for her.
Al Roker, you're on my TV so much, your name should be Al Roku. Okay. That's not even a read. It's not even good. It's not even funny or a read. I don't get it. By the way, though, this reminds me. I've been meaning to tell this story. It's such a quick story. And then we'll take a break right after this.
Okay.
So my mom the other day, we were with my aunts, actually. I don't want to give anything away. Well, I'm kind of giving it away. My mom met this celebrity that we're going to talk about once. And she was trying to relay that story. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she goes, she's talking to me, but I wasn't there when she met him. She goes, Joey, remember when I was in New York and I met that guy? And I was like, what? And she goes, the guy. And my aunt's are there. And she goes, I met that guy. The black man who talks. And then I was like, the black man who talks? And my aunt goes, Al Roker. And she goes, yes. And I go, what just happened here in front of me? That she said the black man who talks. And then my aunt knew exactly who she was talking about from that.
Well, how many black men who talk in New York are there? When you think about it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it was very, very bizarre. All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when I come back, well, Taylor's not going to be here. No, when we come back, we will talk about the rest of the episode.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
What does Colgate mean by live life to the brightest? Could it be a rich glass of red sipped inside a Parisian cafe on a snowy night when my gaze is met by a tall, mysterious... I mean, brushing is directed with Colgate Optic White Pro Series toothpaste gives you a visibly whiter smile in just 3 days, so you can live life to the brightest and finish that glass without worrying about teeth stains. Colgate Optic White. Find it at all major retailers.
We are back, and now we are actually talking about the actual challenge, the Fame Game Variety Extravaganza, where the queens, I don't know why they call it variety, though variety. Least amount of variety I've ever seen in my life. But this is supposed to be like the talent show. And let's go through these one by one. We have the time. We have the energy. We're young. Are we? Hung. I know. You know what's so funny? My friend John Paul and I, we had the longest conversation today about different solutions we have for GERD.
And I was talking earlier today with my boss about possibly having sciatic pain.
Look, fuck y'all, all y'all. I was having really bad sciatica, and I got that $1,000 chair, and it all went away. But maybe it's also, who knows what happened there. By the way, so, you know, everyone knows I'm in this extended stay hotel for the next couple months. And they have my mom had said, you have a nice gym at your disposal. Mm-hmm. You know,
hint, hint.
Yeah, I know. Well, she has asked a couple of times if I've gone to the gym, and so I peeked in the other day, and it is actually for a hotel gym rather nice.
Okay.
And let me just tell you, I'm on the 3rd floor,
mm-hmm.
and the gym is almost directly below me on the 1st floor. There's no elevator by me, right? But the stairs are right next to me. So if I took the stairs, it's just 2 quick flights down. And
okay.
And I'm not even being funny. This is not a joke. I wish it were. I'm trying to move rooms 1 floor down so that I'm closer to the gym.
Joe.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to get one, so I only have to go up 1 flight of stairs after I'm done with the gym. That's fucking ridiculous.
That's a word for it, yeah.
What would you say?
Pathetic.
Do I sound like I'm on drugs today?
No, you do not sound like you're on drugs like you did last week.
I heard it and I felt like I sounded very relaxed, but I didn't think I sounded like I was on drugs.
You sounded... relaxed is not a word I usually use to describe you. So that's why I was concerned.
Some people call me Joe Betrance because they think I'm so relaxing that they get in a trance.
Relaxing, boring, tomato.
True. Good point. You should have heard me on this bloody podcast. Anyway, I don't even know what that jokes means, but you just say boring. I just associate it with bloody podcast.
Right. And the episode you were on of the bloody podcast that I listened to, you were not the boring one on that episode.
Yeah. What does that tell you about that podcast?
Hi, Lori.
Yeah. The Fame Games Variety Extravaganza. By the way, everyone go check out Bloody Podcast. If you're into if you want something to go to sleep to. Anyway, the Fame Games Variety Extravaganza. The first one up. Well, we had Candy. Let's just get out of the way. Candy and Jimbo as hosts. They really didn't do much, but I don't know if you had any thoughts on it right off the bat.
No, they really didn't do anything. It was clear that the jokes were written for them, and then it was where that whole section took them 10 minutes to just go through, where they just filmed everybody at the same time. They filmed all the introductions at the same time, and then they just spliced them in between the acts.
All right, very good. The first one out was Monica Beverly Hills with her song Not a Soul Can Clock. Your thoughts on this?
No, not great. Not great, especially the end with I'm glad that they were able to pull out all of Shea Coulee's set from her variety show with the lamppost and the only thing missing was the phone booth and the newspaper on the floor. But the end where she was just saying slay, slay, fear, slay, slay, whatever. It reminded me of that skit from SNL where Kristen Wiig is one of the Real Housewives who has a new song where she just keeps going fashion, pose, fashion, fashion, it's fashion, fashion. And then they auto-tune her voice at the end. That's what that reminded me of.
I just think Monica Beverly Hills is the literal poster child for resting on pretty. I mean, she is stunning. She is beautiful.
Yes.
But that's pretty much the only thing that she brings to the table.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, okay, what else? And I think that's just everything.
She's pretty and she's vulnerable.
All right, Naysha Lopez. She did a flamenco performance. Your thoughts on Naysha Lopez flamenco performance?
I didn't like it. I was expecting more, and it didn't. And maybe part of it is because I don't really know a lot about flamenco, and maybe she did everything perfectly. But I was expecting. I feel like we've seen other dance routines that are, and they don't have to be like big, huge. They don't have to be where it's, splits and backflips and all that kind of thing. Because, and a perfect example of that would be when Gia Gunn did hers on the variety show. That was very subtle when she did the Japanese dance. That was beautiful. That was gorgeous to watch. So it just didn't feel, it wasn't what I wanted from her, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I don't know what the fuck that bitch was doing. Here's the deal. I don't like it. It was like as if you described flamenco to somebody once who had never seen it, and then they tried to recreate it based on what you said. Because even I think, first of all, the sort of traditional sort of clicking and clacking sounds that you would get from the shoe were built into the song. They were sound effects in the song.
Oh,
and she wasn't necessarily matching them, and it was odd because I was like, I feel I could do a bit. Like she didn't even look like she was even. It was very strange because she's another one. This Naysha Lopez is. I don't know if you know this. She's the host of the show at the recaps at this Roscoe's, right?
Right.
And she's been ranting and raving every week about the show and angry and blah 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 blah. And I would love to sit this bitch down and be like, what did you think would happen? Have you watched this show since season 2? It's like she watched seasons 1 and 2 and just thought that the show is still the same.
Yeah.
And she just thinks if I'm just beautiful, then that's all it takes. I didn't think she was trying. I thought it was lazy. I wasn't into it. All right, Mrs. Kasha Davis. She did a rock rap performance titled Always Time for Kindness. Always Time for Kindness. Okay, what were your thoughts on Mrs. Kasha Davis?
I thought it was really well done. I thought that I was expecting something completely different from her. And the fact that there was, a edge to it is not edge, and Mrs. Kasha Davis are two words that I don't normally think would go together. But for her, I thought it was great. And she managed to get a plug in for her children's book. And it was, I enjoyed watching that. I have a feeling your opinion is different.
I don't know. Like I said, I like anything different. And she did something different. I mean, it still ultimately was lip syncing, which I'm not a fan of. But I did like that it was at least a different take on the lip syncing and original song. So yeah, I'm giving her flowers. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. That's what it was. It was fine. Darian Lake, she did a stand-up comedy, I guess. Well, it started out with jokes and then turned into like a motivational speech.
Yeah. I think the fact that she had to do this in a minute, like they all only got a minute, so it's hard to do a stand-up routine for 1 minute. And once somebody, I believe it was the guest host, Ego, I can't remember what her last name.
Say her name, Taylor.
I don't. I know it's something with an N. That's the only thing that I remember.
No. This is not Lori in 2006. All right, Taylor. That is very. I want to apologize to my audience. Thank you.
So anyway, where she said you don't have to be the brunt of the jokes. You're a star now. You can move beyond that. I tend to agree with her because I feel like it was all just a bunch of sort of like size jokes, kind of like what you have talked about with Kahana and the plastic surgery. Darian is more than, her weight and weight loss journey. There's more to her than that.
Or less to her.
Yes. Ba-dum-bum.
Darian Lake. If you were any thinner, you'd be skinny. Okay. I don't know how they made Mrs. Kasha Davis the winner of this challenge. These jokes are horrible.
I'm also not sure how Mrs. Kasha Davis is slowly becoming Marvin the Martian.
I don't know either.
Where was the kaboom? I was waiting for a big kaboom.
I don't know. I pull these clips, Taylor. Now maybe the audio changes when I pull it, but
maybe,
yeah. Okay. Her comedy set. I don't know if I didn't necessarily disagree with the guest judge. Or agree, because what I would say is like, okay, in a longer set and you're doing stand up, you're right. It would be okay. We get it, right? But if you only have a minute, what else are you gonna do?
No.
If you're doing maybe Darian should have chosen stand up, but if you only have a minute to do stand up, like you're gonna you have to do one liners. And I think that's just the easiest thing to do is just make fun of yourself. It's just kind of weird because she's not that fat anymore. No one's told her walk that yet, but she's not that fat yet anymore. She still walks like a fat person. I mean,
we talked about that. It looks like she has issues with her legs, and even that was one of the jokes that was made during the reading challenge that they should be calling her Darian Swamp because she's got 2 busted stumps and a swamp ass.
That's true. Good point. All right. Next, we had James Mansfield. She did a comedic song about her boobs titled "I've Got These." Your thoughts here?
Your thoughts here. Again, it was amusing. It was cute. Did it deserve to win? Be one of the top 2? No. But it was very James Mansfield. It was what you expect from her. It was the blonde bombshell from the 60s movie and the big fake boobs. And that's really, that's all there is to her.
Well, yeah, it's basically a song about her breastplate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, it's like she didn't grow. I mean, I know the joke is that she has real boobs, but like, I don't know. It's very odd. By the way, back to Darian. I was looking at my notes, actually. At the end, she's talking about like how hard she worked for her weight loss and stuff like that. No, how do I put this without offending Lisa Marie Presley? I mean, does it really count as much if you got bariatric surgery?
Did Darian Lake get bariatric surgery?
I believe she did. I don't know, actually.
Okay.
In my head, and I could be 100% wrong, she did.
Okay. I would say yes, that there is a challenge to bariatric surgery that maybe, obviously there's a challenge to exercise and nutrition as well, but not only because you have to worry about complications from weight loss, but you're also fighting the urges that you may have had with overeating. So there is a more of a mental toll, I think, than maybe a physical toll for somebody who is engaging in, higher things of exercise. And we don't know. She could have been doing a combination of both.
Maybe she was doing a combination, but I don't know shit. What do I know? I'm a person who's trying to move my hotel room so I can be one floor closer to the gym.
That's an excellent point. That is an excellent point.
But I'm going to tell you something. If I never really considered this bariatric surgery. I just know it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I ever had any lingering doubts about that decision, this Lisa Marie Presley thing, I'm fucking never going to go near that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that was the cause of death was complications.
Yeah. Years later. She had it years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway. Mm-hmm. I know what you're thinking about. Anyway,
wow.
I was right.
No, you were right.
Yeah. Next, we have Kahana Montrese. That's why I'm going to force Lori to get a bariatric surgery.
And then you're playing the long game? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I've been counting down that clock. You don't have to poop, do you? I don't know if that had anything to do. I don't know why in my head this one was. All right, Kahana Montrese. Kahana Montrese. By the way, didn't her dad die in the fucking toilet?
That's the rumor.
What's with that fucking the Presleys, man? Shit. Literally. All right. Kahana Montrese, she did a cheerleading routine to an original song. What were your thoughts on this cheerleading routine?
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
If you're going to come out and do a cheerleading routine, then you need to do more than one flip. There needs to be more gymnastics. There needs to be more just general where we just kind of basically stood in one place and had the dancers all kind of doing things around her, which, by the way, the dancer with the mustache, super hot.
I knew if I accuse you of doing the same thing, I can't do it, but I should have mentioned that earlier because I thought that and I didn't, so I can't claim it.
You thought that I would say that, or you thought that?
Yes, no, I knew you would say that, and I had it I didn't have my notes, but I was like, mental note, but I should actually put it in my notes. You're right. This Kahana Montrese, was this the whole thing? Was this that she did a backflip? I was hoping she'd backflip all the way out there. Just keep doing them and go out the back.
Which she did that in her lip sync when the time that she went home. You know, Michelle was talking about, oh my God, you did this backflip and you did all that sort of stuff. This is so amazing. She did the exact same backflip back when she lip synced on her original season. Whatever. So it's like, okay, so you're pulling out the one, which of course, I can't do it. So, I mean, good for her that she's able to do that, but just show us something new.
I agree. La Ree, she did a rap choreo number to the original song, My Ass Is Good.
This was my favorite of all of them. I thought that she was a great dancer. I thought that the song itself was really good. And I loved that she looked like she had the passion that she wanted to win this on her face. She looked like angry a couple of times, but like sexy angry. Mm-hmm. And I loved the outfit. I loved the dancing. Everything about it was very good. My favorite of all of the performances.
I will say that she and Jessica of the I'm going to lip sync to an original song, I thought were the best of that. I mean, it's not really my... Well, I actually want to give a talk about this, actually. I don't blame the girls. Well, I kind of do. I don't know. Here's the deal. I was thinking about this. I'm like, I actually blame the producers. They shouldn't do this talent show. Drag in and of itself is a talent. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have twofold here. This is why I'm harsh on these bits. Imagine if there was a competition show for magicians, okay, like Drag Race, but for magicians, and they said we're going to do a variety show, and then they all came out and did magic tricks. You're like, yeah, bitch, we know you can do magic tricks. Why are you doing more magic tricks? Or it could be anything, a piano playing competition or whatever. But that goes, now we're going to level up. And so let me tell you why it's the producer's fault is drag in and of itself. And the performance of drag is a talent. So you shouldn't ask them to do a talent show. That's where that is their talent. So if you did a magic show, if you had a magic competition show and they had a variety show, I blame the producer for making a variety show because you would even be thinking if Top Chef all of a sudden had a variety show, wouldn't you be like, that's really odd. They're just doing, why is Top Chef doing a variety show? And that's kind of how I feel about this show. This particular challenge is like, well, this is their talent, but yet we're not seeing variety. But this is their talent. It's very, very odd. I don't really particularly like it when they do this challenge, unless they can screen it first or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. All right, Alexis Michelle does a live singing / original song. It was about her being like an apple that likes to fuck or something like that, right? Is that what it was?
Something about that, yeah. It was supposed to be very gypsy. But she kept talking about the big apples and came out and showed everybody her big apples.
And every time they talked about her huge tits, they'd flash to Michelle Visage. By the way, I wonder if Lala Ree got extra points for incorporating the RuPaul chocolate bar into her routine.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, RuPaul loves, plugs.
She
All right.
loves a promotion.
Jessica Wilde did a performance of an original song called You Like It Wild. Your thoughts on, by the way, Alexis Michelle, I thought she was good, and I like that she did live singing. I talked about this earlier. I actually was very entertained. I liked it.
Okay.
Jessica Wilde, performance original song called You Like It Wild.
I really liked this one too. But this felt very much like something. The sound of the song itself was very 90s house to me. And so it reminded me of something I would have seen back when I used to go to bars in the 90s. So in that regard, I really liked it. And I mean, I have grown to really love Jessica this season. And so I was excited to see her performance, and she did not disappoint.
Yeah, much like Michelle Visage's breasts, these are the real stars of the show. Sorry, RuPaul. Yeah, I thought it was a good version of those songs. Okay, now that was the end of the competitive aspect. Then we had two, one from Jimbo, one from Candy. Jimbo did some sort of like very Jimbo-esque, absurd sort of making of an ice cream sundae. What did you think of this?
This is what sealed the deal for Jimbo to win next week, I think, in that it was stupid and it was silly, but it had a point to it. And it's very much, it was a clown performance, which is something nobody else really did on purpose, but it also, the worst last season with Irene Dubois with the water, trying to make a glass of water.
Is that her name? In my notes I go, the water person. Okay, yes.
Right. You have something like that was not good at all. And then you also compare that to like when Willow Pill did her talent thing of where she made the bath and she ate the spaghetti and all of that kind of thing. It was very much in the vein of those, but it was silly. It was stupid. Whereas the Willow Pill one was just weird, whereas this is that stupid humor that Rue was hysterical through the whole thing. So in that regards, you're like, yeah, this put her over the top. As if she wasn't already teeter-tottering towards the crown. This is what put her over the top. And I thought I laughed through the whole thing. Just,
Me too. I actually genuinely laughed. And I was like, these bitches are lucky she's not in this competitive part because she would have won the whole thing.
Yeah.
But she did win the whole thing. And then finally, Candy Muse did a lip sync of something. I don't know. Her original song, I Want to Be Your Muse. Which, did they use AI in her voice? I could tell it was her voice, but like she didn't have that like marbles in her mouth.
I want to be your muse.
Yeah, I want to be your muse. I want to be your muse.
It's not the Elephant Man.
I can't sleep lying down, and I want to be. You know what? That they do have that in common, in that they probably both can't sleep lying down. I just want to lie down like a normal person.
I am not an animal. I am a human muse.
I'm a candy.
I'm a candy.
Yeah.
3 of our listeners will get that reference.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. So I am going to say something that I would not expect to say in this. I actually thought she did a really good job.
Who did a good job? Those dancers that lifted her.
I was pleasantly surprised with this and thought, okay. And I think part of it is that she didn't have the gravel voice while she was singing or lip syncing, whether they AI'd her or when she sings, maybe she just sings at a higher tone.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but I thought it was good. I thought that she did well with normally I always complained that her dancing is always very sloppy and she's just kind of rolling around on the ground whenever she does lip syncs. It was a polished choreography, I thought. So in that regards, I think Candy did a good job. Jimbo did better of the two, but Candy did pretty good.
All right. I was whatever, but I was tuned out by that part. I hate this person. All right, back on the main stage, the judges heap praise on the participating contestants before RuPaul announces that the top 2 All-Stars of the week are James Mansfield and LaLa Ri. This forces them to lip-sync for their lives for a chance at a crucial Fame Games bonus. The song Rain on Me by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. In the end, both queens were named the winners of the lip sync, and they both won a spin of the wheel that determined the multiplier for their online Fame Games vote. James Mansfield won a multiplier of 2, while LaLa Ri won a multiplier of 3. Taylor the Latte Boy, any final thoughts on the episode?
I wonder if there's going to be controversy if one of the two of them win, and it's only because of the double. Like, if you get somebody who I can say that I went on, I scanned the QR code and I voted for, I voted a bunch for, you can vote 10 on each device, and I voted for Jessica. You know, I voted a couple for LaLa Ri, but all of my other votes went for Jessica. So I wonder if you get somebody like a Jessica that would have normally won had it not been for one of these other two girls to actually like go past them, if that's going to be controversial. Well, that's a stupid question, because anything happens on the show, it's controversial because you got the Redditors screaming and yelling about it. But I just, wonder if this isn't as good of an idea as it seemed to be in the moment.
We'll find out next week when the controversy happens.
Yeah.
I've pretty much said all my thoughts. I looked at my notes right now, and I didn't have any additional thoughts. I don't know if you had any additional thoughts.
No, it was I enjoyed the episode. I can't necessarily say that about some of the other episodes this part of the season, but you said it perfectly, and I was thinking the same thing, and that it was it was a celebration. It wasn't necessarily something in which anybody was, down in the dirt kind of thing. So in that regards, it was a nice refresher for the finale coming up next week.
All right, very good. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week for the grand finale of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 8. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also watch video versions of the show and more over at youtube.com/dragracerecap. This podcast was produced by Luke Stamen. Taylor the Latte Boy has another podcast. It's called Pod is My Co-Pilot, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Taylor on Instagram at PIMC Taylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and TikTok at Joe Betance. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: Alex S., Anonymous, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Carter McKinnon, Corinna Williamson, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Elizabeth Timmer, Emma, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Kathy Zender, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Robert NYC, Robin Eganberger, Runner Brandon, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travi Cosmos, Troy Anderson, Zach Nelson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.
Our bodies come in different shapes and sizes, so doesn't it make sense that our weight loss plans should too? That's the beauty of Noom. They build a personal plan that factors in dietary restrictions, medical issues, and other personal needs so your plan works for you. Noom doesn't restrict or shame when you want to treat yourself. Their flexible program focuses on progress instead of perfection. You don't have to give up carbs or anything. And with their daily lessons, you can learn something new about your food choices every day. After just a few days of using the app, I learned how to recognize cues for overeating and how to choose the right foods to feel full. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's NOOM.com. And check out Noom's first ever cookbook, The Noom Kitchen, for 100 healthy and delicious recipes to promote better living. Available to buy now wherever books are sold.